The breakdown of marriage and relationships, the breakdowns of family, y'all, this is not a gender issue. This is not a race issue. This is not a class issue. This is a character issue. If you have certain character issues are going to produce certain manifestations, it's going to create problems. So when you're wrapped up on the lower level of consciousness, and you think that this is about age, it's a generational issue, or you think it's about race, it's a black-white issue, or you think it's about gender, it's a man versus woman issue, you're not seeing the higher and deeper issue of the character problem. So then what people do, they hear the higher level issue, but then they're drawn to lower level thinking. So they'll take that and say, oh, well, who created the character issues? The single mothers or the deadbeat fathers? And that is just another example of the lower level consciousness. So you can even get the right idea, like, oh, we need to deal with the character. Okay. But then you get drawn into, but your frame of thinking is still in the lower levels. So you can have the right idea, character, and still apply lower level consciousness to that idea or to that solution. So then you go again into the antagonistic mode where you want to pit people against each other. And that's the lower level. So we have to come up. I can't get into all of it on this little video, but I just want to put that out there and see if you understand what I'm talking about. And I want to add this. So I've been talking a little bit of putting this stuff more out about separating. So I want to connect these ideas together. When you have people who understand that we all need to work together, but they are mixed in with people who are intent on antagonizing each other, even though we have the right idea of everybody getting together, understanding each other, we cannot work with people who are actively against that. In order for us to actually carry out the work, we cannot be connected to you all while we're getting this thing together. So the people who get this are really going to be, you could say, like early adopters of like this way of thinking about and being about relationships. And then later, once people see what's going on, because they need to see the evidence, because they can't see it they don't have the vision for it. When they see it materialize, then more people will get on board, kind of like AI, right? So anyway, I want to see what you all think about this. And I know some people are going to get it and some people really won't, but that's the point.
Hey, great message. Shout out to the content creator. She actually big on TikTok. And she definitely come with a lot of great message when it comes to like marriage and couples and relationships. So shout out to her. I agree with the message, right? I definitely think that the surface level is definitely more us against them or me against you, the woman versus the man, right? I definitely think that's a surface level conversation. Now, when she says, let's deep dive a little bit beyond that, and we talk about, let's dig into the character traits on what's really going on with the individual, right? Before we just talk about the surface level of the woman versus man in relationship war, quote unquote, right? I agree to the point of, I do think that's an issue, right? How do we get to the point where we get people in position to upgrade their character? That's not going to happen unless, number one, we start very, very, very young and basically institute certain character traits to the children, right? Because the adult, they're seeing what the adults do. And so that creates the cycle. It's kind of like kids having kids, right? It's a situation of, young adults having kids early, but they are still kids themselves. And so it creates a repeated cycle. So you have the shenanigans of what's going on in the dating market, what's going on in the relationship market. The cycle is the same repeated shenanigans, right? Having a baby out of wedlock, multiple kids, bitterness, right? They're pointing the fingers at who's doing what, who's to blame, who's at fault. It's the repeated cycle. And also that's what goes online and becomes the conversation on what she's talking about. Hey, the surface level. So when you deep dive into how do we get to the character traits, I think it has to start young, right? Now, as far as where she's talking about in regards of us separating, meaning like creating a whole separate coalition of like-minded individuals who were talking about the deeper dive beyond just the surface level. And when it comes to the character traits and stuff, what does that even look like, right? How do you define what character traits? Because most people, like she said, they're not even thinking on that level, beyond the surface level. I totally agree. So this is when her message come out, my message come out on what does that even look like when somebody talk about character traits. And so for me, I've always talked about your own personal brand, right? Who you are when you step outside. You know, what do people see when they see you as far as what you represent? And I actually made a video on this talking about kind of the correlation or the, between Chick-fil-A and you as an individual. Like when we talk about personal branding, when you hear Chick-fil-A's name, you think about three things, right? You think about number one, the customer service. Every Chick-fil-A I've went to, they've said, my pleasure. Every Chick-fil-A I've went to, I personally never had a burnt chicken sandwich. Their product is consistent. And then the last thing is the cleanliness. All their stores, for the most part, for me, is pristine, right? Yeah, every blue moon, you might have a few pieces of trash floating around, but you go inside the store, it's clean, right? It's well kept. Even the little ketchup packages and napkins are folded and in line and just on point. Those are three things that I notice when I go to Chick-fil-A across the board, anywhere in the country, is consistent. So when you look at your own personal brand, what do people say? Hey, is he honest, right? Is he respectful? Does he keep a positive attitude, right? Is he enthusiastic about life, right? Meaning, does he still have full of life? Is he teachable? Is he coachable? You see what I'm saying? Like, what's the integrity look like? Those are the intangible things when it comes to character traits that I think every man should have. Now, when it specifically comes to women, I think she could speak better than me on things that women should actually have. But I like speaking to the men because I feel like we are the leaders. And so even just those few character traits I just named when it comes to your personal brand should be across the board for every man. But that's where it starts with. But how do you even get those qualities? How do you even get those character traits, to be able to represent yourself, to be able to bring value to the market as a man when it comes to relationship and dating, right? That starts from the internal self. You have to heal yourself and again, man, this is stuff I beat the drum on constantly. First, you have to heal yourself. Everybody has trauma. Everybody has trauma. And so when you look at the world outside of your house, you see everybody out of the way. You see everybody who's not taking care of themselves, right? And I ain't even gonna go down the list. But specifically when it comes to the men, we have to heal ourselves. That's the first thing. Go to therapy, man. Whatever worked for you on your spiritual side. Maybe you need to go back to church to get back in line with God. Maybe that's the first. That has to start there. And then start taking care of yourself when it comes to physically, financially. You see what I'm saying? Mentally. We just talked about the therapy, the spiritual side. We have to start getting back in alignment with God, man. That's the number one. And I ain't here trying to preach to y'all. I'm just saying, like, that's something that helped me and helped many men who do reach that level where they like, I've turned my life around. These are the same things we all consistently talk about. Getting back to the internal side of ourselves being fixed, right? Getting alignment back with God. However that means for you, right? But we have to get back in line. And what that's going to do as you as an individual, that's going to build your character traits where you can start walking with your chest high, your head high, your chin up. You see what I'm saying? You look strong. You feel strong. You start to bring this aura about yourself. You start to raise your energy. You see what I'm saying? You start to glow. You start to attract life to you versus us constantly chasing like it's some shiny object syndrome out here. We have to get back in the line with what matters. We have to get back to business. You see what I'm saying? So That's what I see, man. I'm here for separation. I feel like that conversation's already been, not even the conversation, I feel like subconsciously it's already been happening. I think most people are starting, I feel like the wave is starting to go, right? You even look at stuff like people not drinking a lot no more. You see what I'm saying? Man, we just seen an article about the alcohol industry down billions of dollars because people just not drinking. That's a great thing. You know what I'm saying? Because that's less brain fog. There's less of the BS going on. You going out there getting drunk, slipping up, doing things that you shouldn't do. You know, it's just crazy. You know, tobacco need to be next. They've been pushing messages about that. Just getting healthier, man. The food industry. We just seen the Super Bowl commercial with Mike Tyson. You know, talking about how certain foods, anyway, the industry just being wicked on us. And that's what a lot of people are getting, you know, overweight and stuff like that. So I think that there is a turn coming. But my message, her message is definitely subconsciously getting out more and more, right? And for me in particular, I'm strictly on the men. I'm on y'all head. You know what I mean? Because we gonna need it. And that's how men gotta hear it straight. We can't be coddled. We gotta hear like, yo, you gotta step up. Because I needed to hear that, right? And so for men out there, they can't hear no, they may be soft, but when you hear it's like a coach when you playing football. When somebody just tell you to it straight, hey, you effing up. Hey, tighten up. Get back in line. A lot of times in the beginning, you may not like it when another man tell you to tighten up, right? And they come at you forcefully. They come at you with their real. But later down the line, you'll respect that and you'll appreciate that. So we just have to hold each other more accountable. I feel like a lot of stronger men are coming online, waking up, you know what I'm saying, tapping back in. And I'm here for it. And I'm one of them, right? And I love being around other like-minded individuals, like-minded men who I can learn from. You see what I'm saying? So again, I think she had a great message about, hey, let's start digging deeper beyond the surface level, right? Get to the root of a lot of these issues, which is the character traits. But to get there, we have to rebuild ourselves in the image that we want to be in. We have to get back in alignment of life, man. A lot of us just out of alignment. And I think from there, we can start putting the building blocks back together to be able to build the right character traits, to be able to start this thing on the right footing and in the right direction. So with that being said, thanks to the content creator, great message. You know, shout out to her. Subscribe if it's your first time watching. If you got any value from this video, hit the like button and share this message out for anybody who may need to hear it. And with that being said, I appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.